Hey, this is Doug from, one sec. I've got to set the stream on the other one. One sec, sorry. Hey, this is Doug from HomesNOW Not Later. I just wanted to share a few updates with y'all because it's been a little while since I've done a video. No news is good news, basically, when it comes to HomesNOW, as far as our day-to-day. I just wrote a few notes here. So day-to-day life at the villages has been good. We have our ups and downs, but both villages continue to run safely, and everybody's pretty cozy during this winter emergency. If you know somebody who is out in the cold, they should definitely be going to the emergency shelter at either Civic Field, run by Road to Home, Base Camp, if they have openings, or the Ferndale shelter, managed by Ferndale Resource Center, I believe is Ferndale Community Services. That's right. As for us, Swift Haven in the next week will have been in operation for 2 years. That's a major milestone. When it first opened, the city even had on their website that it was due to close in April of 2021. And we have lasted basically 2 years at this point for Swift Haven. We were given a 2-year permit back in March, so this upcoming March will be another year, and then we have another year after that, and then the status is up in the air after next year. Unity Village, previously in a previous video, we had said that Unity Village. Oh, sorry, my phone always goes off when I'm in the middle of doing a video, so I'm turning it off. That Unity Village would have to move because they were going to expand the Post Point sewer treatment plant. That has been put on hold. So we are likely being issued a one-year renewal permit. This permit, just like the permit for Swift Haven, will come with some new conditions in it compared to our previous permits. Some of those conditions include having to have every resident sign up for the housing pool, which is managed through the Whatcom Homeless Services Center and the Opportunity Council, within 2 weeks of moving in, if they move into the village, and using HMIS, which is the state's database system for tracking homelessness, like so when somebody leaves or somebody comes in, tracking their status, and other stuff like that, which definitely I think the extra requirements are like, we can do them, but I also think that it just, a lot of it kind of gets in the way because this extra stuff like data entry that we have to put on top rather than just the managing the shelter part, which is what we typically would like to do, is to just focus on the people who live there and making sure to find people housing and stuff like that. But we will do what we got to do to keep the lights on and stay open. We do have problems at both villages as far as when the weather gets really cold like this. Typically our water infrastructure is what suffers the most. We do have heated hoses and heated coils around the non-heated hoses, but that doesn't always work at the faucet level. So we're doing okay. We just have to repair the faucet when it breaks, and that typically does happen. Every winter it's happened. The sink at least Swift Haven is frozen right now. So we're gonna have to probably replace the faucet when it unfreezes in a couple days. But now that we've done it like 10 times by now, we've got it down to a science, I guess. Because one of the things we wanted to do last summer, we didn't have enough in the budget to do it last summer, but we're hoping to do it this summer if the budget permits, is we really want to have like a more enclosed structure for our kitchen tent at both villages. So instead of a kitchen tent, we might have a kitchen structure. And the reason for that is couple reasons. One is that in the winter it's very cold in a tent. Even though it's got wood floors and everything like that, it does get pretty cold. That does result in, stuff like the faucet freezing, even if we have hose heaters. It results in it being harder to manage pest control type stuff. There's a number of reasons, and we're just hoping that the budget will permit for us to actually be able to build something a little bit more robust, so that it's a little better next year. We're always trying to make progress and improve and all that. The permit for Unity Village is going to be a Type 1 permit. I guess there's a difference between a Type 1 and a Type 2. Type 2 permit is where you have to send a letter to the neighborhood, and there's some kind of like public meeting and stuff. But I guess with a Type 1 permit, that's not the case. So it should be a little bit easier of a time renewing the Unity Village permit. I do have a few concerns at some of the new conditions, though. Like I mentioned, the HMIS. It's a significant amount of work to do data entry for that, and you have to take a special training and all that, which I've taken. And this all takes away time from the day-to-day stuff. And also HMIS. It's at the federal level, so there's nothing I can do about it. In fact, the city kind of, I think, enshrined it into their municipal code, where it says that any agency that's operating on city land must use HMIS to track information. We do keep our own statistics, which I'll show you a little later in the video, but HMIS involves, basically the idea is that a resident would fill out a form. There's two different forms. There's a consent form and a non-consent form. So if they sign the non-consent form, then that means that we input them into HMIS without any personally identifiable information. And if they do a consenting form, it means we put in all their information. This could include their housing status, where they moved to, and it has extra stuff in there like veteran status and health conditions and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really interested in using it. It's just kind of one of those things that we are told we kind of have to. So we're just going to do what we need to do, I guess, to make sure that we stay open. The one of the problems with HMIS is that, if you have non-consenting forms, is that a lot of people are counted twice. So because you can't identify who it is, you might get a double duplicate where somebody's counted twice or three times every time that they change an agency. Whereas with our statistics that we keep as HomesNOW, which is pretty automatic and lightweight, we don't really have forms for people to consent to. We don't put down their name though in our statistics. We have their names on the back end, but we don't actually show them publicly. But we don't need to. So, in any case, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the donors and all the people who've donated to HomesNOW over the years. We don't take government money for operations. We are on a shoestring budget at all times, and while we're about 80% self-sufficient, because our villages are managed by the residents themselves. Unity Village and Swift Haven are both managed by the people who live there, who are in the position of being homeless and who are able to run and manage a site effectively for their own housing situation. And the residents of both villages do an amazing job. And that is what has contributed to our rehousing rate continuously going up gradually over time. I'll show you some of our statistics. So we recently did our statistics again because we had to for the permit renewal from the city. One sec, let me share my screen. Display capture left, and then I gotta drag it above. Yeah. So we had about 115 people come through our villages since we've opened. Okay, so since we've opened Unity Village, and we also count Safe Haven tent encampment and Winter Haven tent encampment before that as well. So all together, this is just everything put together. 115 exits. That means once people have left the village, we don't count. We can do this, but we haven't done it yet. Is counting people who are still at the village. So let me see if I can get my little 1 sec. Yeah. Okay. There I am. So this does not count people who still currently live at the villages, and so that means that there are 47 people, because Unity Village has 23 and Swift Haven has 25 people living there. So this 115 in these statistics are once somebody has left the village. Okay. So our demographics, we have age. Our biggest group seems to be people that are from 41 to 60 years of age. 71% of people are ages 41 to 60. It trends slightly more male than female, 55.9% to 44%. That might be to be expected though, because there are more programs to help women with children and stuff like that, and I'm guessing that's the reason for this. We don't discriminate based on male or female or any or ethnicity or anything. We just, if you're homeless and you need help, you're treated the same. Our demographics for ethnicity, we've got these. Let's see. Okay, so these two charts, place of living all and place of living housing placement. Housing placement means what if they found housing. So if they didn't find housing, this is the raw total. So this, it counts even if people were asked to leave or if they chose to leave. And then this counts the people who found housing, and the percentage, the ratios of where they found housing at. So mostly rental rooms, sometimes an apartment, and family other times. We do have the evicted, non-evicted stats. Employed when leaving, so 32% of residents who, after they left the village, they were employed. And that's continued to go up over time. I mean, so all of our statistics are moving in a better direction over time as far as when we first opened, and that makes sense because over time we've gotten better at running things from when we first started. We have source of income, social security, job, unknown, because we don't really ask, but if we know, we do put it in here. The village encampment, this chart kind of measures out of all the exits, where did they exit from? Was it Unity Village, Swift Haven, Safe Haven, or Winter Haven? And so these are the numbers for that. So you can see both villages have had a similar number of people leave the village either way, whether they've found housing or not. What city will they be moving to? Vast majority people move to Bellingham. That's where they've moved to. It makes sense since we're in Bellingham. So we've actually helped people leave the state too. Like, so sometimes somebody wants to go back and live with family in Florida or some other state, and a lot of times we might help with like a bus ticket or at least some of the funding for that. And sometimes they've been able to stay with family, and so there's like this myth of if you build more villages and you try to help more people who are homeless, that more people will just flock here from other cities. I've found that not to be the case. In fact, sometimes when somebody has a little help with a place to stay, that can actually help them build up the resources to move somewhere else if they want to. For us, there's no pressure either way, whether someone wants to stay because Bellingham's a nice place, or whether they want to move somewhere else. I think either way, that should be okay. But the fact that, but just the idea that people will flock here if you help them, or if you help some people, that more people from outside will flock here. I found that not to be the case at all. Exit status. So right now our overall housing rate with both villages combined is 47.5%. So about a 48% rehousing rate. Unity Village is about 58%, and Swift Haven is about 39%. I will say that when Unity Village is almost going on 4 years old. In August, we'll have been there for 4 years. When Unity Village was 2 years old, as Swift Haven is, Unity Village had a similar number to Swift Haven does now. So we've seen both villages continue to go up over time as far as people finding housing, because the hardest part about any village is when you first open them, and especially with a model like ours, because our model relies on the people living there running the place. So if you run a model like that, then the hardest part is in the beginning, because there's not a community established yet. There's not really, everybody kind of has to get to know each other and establish a flow, and that does take a little bit of time. And so, but we found that if you can allow these places to get established, it creates a stable environment for people to live, and because it's resident managed, resident run, after a while there's a flow, and it works quite well. And after it's already established, then, when new people come in, then there's already a bunch of people living there that can show you the ropes, how it works around here. Here's how we do our garbage. Here's how we do our our duties / chores. All that type of stuff is easier after it's been established for a while. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I'm back. So, the long story short is that we need a lot more of these. I mean, right now, I think this year has been better with the emergency winter response than some previous years. Although I think that from our perspective, from my perspective, at least my opinion, is that efforts should be heavily focused on preventing the emergency in the first place, because it's still an emergency. Just because it gets down to 28 degrees and someone has a warm place to stay during the night for a couple hours or for a couple days, that won't help in the long run. It helps them stay alive in the short run, but in the long run, they're still experiencing an emergency. They still need a place, and by a place I mean a stable place where you can stay there for months or weeks or months or a year if you need to, while you figure out your life and get back on your feet again. You have a place to lock your stuff. You have internet, heat, electricity, insulation, water infrastructure, showers, laundry, that kind of thing. Because once you have those things, it gets you out of survival mode. And then once you're out of survival mode, you are more easily able to get on with the rest of your life, finding housing, filling out paperwork to get your ID, getting your court cases settled, all kinds of scenarios. Your medical situation, if you have medical problems, which that's probably one of the main reasons. I think that one of the main reasons that people become homeless is from medical stuff. It's because the rents are high, and if you have any kind of severe medical issue, you might not be able to work full time, and it's easy to see how somebody could become homeless at that point, and we've seen it plenty. And the long story short is, there just needs to be a lot more of these villages. I think we've proven over the years that this is helping people. And one of the best things about the resident managed approach is that since we have no paid staff, right? So is that this can be scaled up to a lot more places. We don't even take the government money for operations. We have taken a little bit of like help from the government, and what I mean by that is if they want us to have generators for if the power goes out in the winter, which the county health department helped us with that. We have 4 generators now that if the power goes out at either one of our villages, like the whole site goes out, we have enough generators to cover them while we figure it out. We didn't have that last year. And things like that, really low budget stuff. But we do not take government money for operations, and we do not pay ourselves to do this. And that brings me to another subject. So I did notice, I was asked about this, so I thought I'd chime in on it, and I gave it a shot too. So the Washington State recently did a what they call a homeless economic relief for homeless service workers. If you are a homeless service worker in Washington State, you may be eligible to receive. Sorry, I'm getting my webcam back. You may be eligible to receive a stipend of up to $4,000. So I thought, okay, yeah, maybe I'll apply. So I applied, but it turns out that if you work with people who are homeless, but you don't pay yourself, because we don't pay ourselves as HomesNOW. So I was wondering if maybe the staff at the villages would be eligible for this, or if I would be eligible for it. And what I planned to do if I got the $4,000 was I was just going to deposit it into the HomesNOW account so we could just help more people, right? But I was told that I did not qualify, and neither would the residents who are the staff at the villages. They wouldn't qualify either because we don't pay ourselves. So if you're out there and you're volunteering and you're putting in a full-time effort or even a part-time effort, and you don't pay yourself to do that, then you're not eligible. So that was kind of a disappointment. I wasn't really thinking I was going to be eligible for it, but I just thought I'd apply and see. But yeah, since we don't pay ourselves, it doesn't count. So, but if you work for an agency, like if you're a caseworker or you work for agencies where you do pay, where you are paid to work there as somebody at that agency, you might be eligible for up to $4,000 or whatever. So. Just something to take note of. What we are trying to do is HomesNOW. We're trying to set up more villages. Our biggest hang up right now has been finding sites. So, private landowners. If you're a private landowner and you want to check out our villages so you can see how we operate, and you have land that you might be willing to allow us to set up a village on, please get in touch. We're definitely ready to set up more so we can get more people out of the cold and have a stable place to live while they stepping stones so they can move on with their lives. If you represent a government in any municipality in the local area, Whatcom County, whether that's East County, whether that's Ferndale, whatever, we're interested. The only thing though is that we do not want strings attached with taking government money to do operations. And by strings attached, I mean things like, coordinated entry and all that. And that's another issue is that a lot of these government contracts for say if the county puts something out there that says they're looking for operators who want to do homeless services, there are a lot of times there will be conditions in those contracts, very strict conditions that say stuff like any agency who provides a tiny home village will have to have all referrals come from Whatcom Homeless Service Center / Opportunity Council, which means we wouldn't be able to have our own application process like we do on our website right now and stuff like that. So those type of deals we couldn't do, and we're not willing to do those. But if if those type of strings don't come attached, then we are willing to. And I think that this is kind of something to keep in mind for the local governments, because homelessness is getting worse over time. Like, more people are becoming homeless. There's a lot of reasons, sure, economic or whatever, but putting a lot of detailed conditions upon getting things started is making the problem worse, because it means that you're going to have fewer and fewer agencies that are able to fulfill or even want to follow certain conditions that might be required for you to get a site going or whatever. And even there might be conditions that say things like any agency that is going to do this will have to have experienced doing it before. And it's like, well, now that we've already done it, that's great. But what if anybody's new and they're just starting out and they want to help, and if they don't have that record, then how are you going to get the job experience without the job, basically? You know what I'm saying? So it's just something to keep in mind, that this process should be made easier, not harder. And I think that if that was done, then a lot of people would benefit who need help and can move on with their lives. But in any case, we are ready to do more. Typically, the way these things work when it comes to the fundraising side, if you're not taking the government money, the way it typically works for us anyway, or how it's worked for us, is that once we have a site secured and somebody says, yes, here's the spot you can do it on, then that's when we do the fundraising. Because if you try to fundraise for it before you have it, then it doesn't work and nobody donates. But if you have a spot that's been secured, even if you haven't secured all the money to pay for everything for that spot, a lot of times the solution ends up popping up in response, because it's going to happen, right? And people are very excited about that. Volunteers are very excited to help build structures and get people off the streets and stuff. But it's a dime a dozen that somebody says, hey, give me your money and we might do something later with it. And understandably, people are tight with their finances when people don't have something secured already. So in any case, if we are secure a spot, I'm literally going to put the shout out there to the world. Hey, we got a spot. We need your help. As far as our day-to-day operations at the villages, we do always appreciate your help, and we do need it. And December is usually a good month for donations for us, but it is a little bit less than last year, but it's been extremely helpful. We're about 80% self-sufficient, but we're not 100%. And, so we do collect donations from residents to help pay for basic supplies and stuff around the site. We do rely a little bit on donations from you, the general public, to survive. I wanted to say a big thank you to not only the big donors, but the small ones too. If you donate to us monthly, like $30 a month or $10 a month or even $5 a month, that adds up really quick, and covering our costs at that point isn't a problem. I will say that there are certain times of the year that it gets very close to zero. It gets very tight, and November is one of those times, because a lot of our yearly renewals for stuff like insurance and all that stuff comes up, and the summertime is usually pretty tight as well. But of course, the costs are lower in the summer too. Anyway, I just wanted to thank all the donors, all the volunteers, and if you have anything to spare, we greatly appreciate it. And a link to where you can donate to us either monthly or one time is in the description of this video. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I'm looking forward to the holiday season being over. It's kind of my least favorite time of the year. I'm gonna look forward to the new year, and I'm guessing 2023 will probably be harder than 2022. Maybe something like no, I'm not gonna joke about World War III, but yeah, maybe 2023 will end up being a great year. I think it'll be a little harder. I've noticed it just seems to get a little harder each year, but we do adapt and get stronger at the same time. So, we're just going to do the best we can, and yeah, we hope everybody is having a good holiday, and be safe, be well, good luck. If anybody has any questions, totally hit us up. We have an open book policy. If anybody wants to come down to the villages and check them out, come on down and check them out. We're open to the public. If there's anybody that wants to partner with us to help more people, get a site online, we're cool to do that too. So we are ready. So anyway, hope everyone has a great rest of your year, and good luck. Be safe, be well.